Hey everybody, welcome to Linux Cast. I'm your host, Matt.
I'm Drew.
I'm Nate.
I'm TheBlackDon.
All right. Hello everybody. Welcome to the Linux Cast. We're going to do an awesome show for you, and you might have noticed we have a guest. This is Don from the TheBlackDon YouTube channel. So welcome, Don. Will you please let us know a little bit about yourself and your YouTube channel?
Yeah, sure. So yes, I have been doing YouTube for about a year and some change, maybe a little bit more than that. And basically, I do tech related things with Linux and some gaming related things as well. And I do stream a little bit when it comes to gaming and stuff like that. But mainly my channel's about Linux, and I kind of keep it that way. And I'm here for Linux. I love Linux.
All right. So first,
and open source and everything there.
Yeah. All right. First, sorry. What distro are you using right now? We have to get your bona fides.
I'm on CashOS right now.
CashOS. Okay. Because if you said NixOS, obviously, we'd have to create a club or something because we're not on a real distro. All right.
I've been there, but not right now.
All right. So you said you stream and game. What kind of games? We'll get the gaming stuff out of the way. That way Drew doesn't fall asleep. No. He's not a gamer at all. Yeah. What kind of games do you play on Linux?
Mainly like FPS games and some RPG games as well, like the Finals, Marvel Rivals, games like that.
Okay.
And I use a gyro on controller, so it's a little bit different than your typical mouse and keyboard type gamer.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we've each gone through and created some questions for you, and we'll just throw them at you. And we'll probably tune in with our own thoughts and stuff as we go along. But what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of a round robin, and we'll take turns. So Drew, you want to ask a first question?
I have no questions, actually. I don't know if you've seen.
I did notice the giant blank slots.
I have been actually working this week. So I am ill prepared, my friend.
Fools with real jobs. All right, Nate.
I was hoping to interject into the conversation.
All right, Nate, your first question.
I think I'll use the first one I got, which is you're known for your window managers, but if you had to use one desktop environment and you couldn't use a window manager, what would it be?
KDE.
100%. No, there's no hesitation there. Why KDE?
For me, it's the customization level of it, and I just feel like I feel more at home with KDE when it comes to DEs. I'm not a huge fan of GNOME. I don't like their like the theming and using GNOME tweaks and all that stuff to get things the way you want it to be. So I kind of like the customization of KDE in the feel of it better.
See, this is when I can interject here, Matt, because I have questions now. How long have you been on Linux then? Because that would be an indicator. Have you tried other desktop environments on your first try and so on? So how long you been on Linux?
So I like full-time Linux been about 2 years. Before that, I just kind of dabbled in it a little bit. Like I had it on a couple of machines, but I mainly used Windows. But no, I tried pretty much everything when I first tried Linux. I was a distro hopper at its best and changed pretty much every DE.
What was your first try? What was your first?
Mint.
Okay.
Was the first one, and then Pop OS, and then it went on from there.
So let me ask you this question. Do you think that Linux Mint was the entry into Linux Mint where you think that it should be for new users? Like, was that a good experience for you? Or if you were to be able to go back in time magically and choose a different distro as your first one, would you choose a different one now, or would you stick with Mint as your first distro?
So I feel like Mint is a good starting point. It was enough for me to continue, right? I didn't, jump ship after, trying Mint. So it was enough to keep me, locked into Linux, after, trying it for an extended period of time, aside from what I've, tried in the past. But I don't know. I was not a fan of the Cinnamon desktop. So I think that would have changed my overall perception if I was on a different distro, if it was maybe KDE or even GNOME at that point.
So Mint actually used to have a KDE spin, back in the day. but they stopped maintaining it because there were so many packages.
Fair enough.
I actually would kind of wish they'd bring it back because right now they have XFCE, Cinnamon. Do they still have the Mate spin? Does anybody know?
I think so.
So they still maintain 3 of them, and Mate is like kind of dead. I wish they'd replace it with KDE because it's just good. All right, so my first, I guess, question for you then is, and we have no rhyme or reason to these questions. They're gonna be kind of all over the place. So some of them will be general
Okay.
Linux, some of them will be whatever. So let me ask you this question: why Arch Linux? I noticed from your channel that you were on Arch, then you moved to NixOS, and then you moved back to Arch, and now you're on Cashy, which is Arch. So why Arch Linux?
Arch, I would say, just for the package availability, AUR is nice when you need to be able to get something that is not available in like the regular repos. There's often times where I was on NixOS where there was just a weird thing with certain packages. Like I could install them, but they just wouldn't work, out of the box like they would normally work for me, like on Arch. So I just keep coming back to Arch, and I'd game, and I just like to have the most up to date things, especially for content creation. It's nice as well because I can have everything that I need as far as window managers and installing new things and just being up to date.
And is there a reason why not Vanilla GNOME or Vanilla GNOME, Vanilla Arch versus where you're at is with Cashy?
No, there is really no reason. I mean, I've used just strictly Arch for a long time, and then I went to NixOS, and when I came back to Arch, well, CashOS, when I came back, I just installed CashOS because I was I actually think I might have did a video on it, and I just never left after I did that video.
Nate, your next question?
Oh, I have a comment. He was probably being lazy like the rest of us. Easier to install.
I mean, that's partially
Yeah.
that's partially it, and I do change, like I have 4 different computers, and I change them quite frequently, just like testing different things or installing new things and trying new things, for the channel and whatnot. So CashOS is just, you're right, it's just easy.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into who all has how many systems.
Nate would win. Nate would win.
Oh, you
I'm
probably
not getting into all that. So anyway,
Nate says
I'm
I
catching up to you on monitors though, but you might have
Well-
well, I'm at 34. So
34 monitors.
Yeah.
In that room.
no, not in the room. I have 15 in the room. I have 34 that I have extras on the side in case one fails.
Okay, never mind. I'm not even close.
Okay.
But like you can't win that competition, man, because
Join the club, bro. Join
Bad.
as if you tried to compete, Nate would be like, "Hold my beer."
Right? Yeah. He'd add one just
Listen,
quit.
I just know I have my places. Okay, that's all I can say. I can get a couple $10 monitors pretty quick.
There we
So-
go.
Which kind of goes against the point that you have them on hand just in case one goes down. Because if you can get them really quick, then you don't need to have them on hand. Sorry.
Hey! Don't be saying that because if my wife ever sees this, that's too much logic. The point is, it's a tool, and I need the backup just in case I actually need it. So,
I get it. All right.
anyways, my next question. So, I have a question in regards to what is something that you'd like to see change in Linux? Just a general change.
General change in Linux. That's a hard one. I feel like for me, I mean, I do want gaming to get better. And when I say better, I just mean like more so like peripheral companies that make, gaming tech to be supported by Linux. Because I am a controller head. I have a billion controllers. And that, it's part of the the content and stuff that I do, but a lot of times either the software that it comes with or whatever it is to actually update or edit the configuration for the controller, it's not supported on Linux. And I either have to configure it on Windows and then come back to Linux or whatever the case might be. So I wish just support overall for peripherals and mice and keyboards and all the things.
Let's all answer that question, Drew. We may have answered this question a long time ago, but I'm curious if it's changed. What would you change about Linux if you could? Just one thing.
all of you have to be on the same distro as me. No, I'm just kidding. You know,
Debian's the only distro. Okay.
I think that, yeah, that's a good one. Because I often think that because I use Debian, I feel like I'm lagging sometimes behind. And so I'm not really too far away from actually that joke not being such a joke, because I sometimes fear that, like, something like Fedora, for example, that's on the bleeding edge, and I'm on a 2-year cycle on my OS. Is this really, am I missing out on anything? Am I like lagging way too far behind at some point? So I don't know. Is there anything that I could change? I think maybe I would have to change myself more than anything else, because Linux is just going to be the way it is. So
If we start a podcast one of these days and Drew says, "Hey, you know what I did this week? I switched to Arch," we'll know that something is wrong. Like
It's
Yeah.
AI.
yeah, he's been replaced by a pod person. It's just Claude there. Nate, what about you? What would you change?
I would also probably say gaming wise, but mine's more towards software. If there was a way I could change it, I would force every gaming company to drop the kernel level anti-cheat nonsense, because it's just stupid. There's better anti-cheats out there. You don't need a kernel level for that.
Agreed. And if they're gonna do it, I mean, if cheaters are gonna cheat, they're gonna cheat. Like,
Oh, yeah. And by the way, companies, most of the cheats only work on Windows. FYI.
it's also true.
You gonna answer this one, Matt? Or
Yeah, I'm just there's so many. I have so many complaints.
They're the real distro.
First off, Nate, fuck you. Second of all right, so I think what I would say is that I want every distro, like regular distro, not the weird non-distro thing that I'm using, to use Btrfs and Snapper. I think that the ability to take your machine back to a working state immediately without any fuss or muss is a miracle. Like, if you install a update that works your system, if you install a package that just messes everything up, if you install KDE and you realize you don't like KDE or, whatever, just being able to go into your grub and say, hey, I want to go back a generation, or I want to go back a snapshot, is glorious. And I think everyone should have that functionality built into Linux. It should just work, and it doesn't have to be an immutable distro, because most immutables can do that. NixOS obviously can do it, although it's funky. I just think that would be an amazing thing, because it would also take, like, there are so many complaints that people have about Linux, but one of the things that people have, especially about like rolling releases, is that they break sometimes due to updates. It would take that fear completely away, because as long as you can get to grub, at least you can back up or roll back to a different snapshot and it will just work, and you can wait until the update fixes itself. So that's what I would change. Whether or not, the problem, of course, is that there's a stigma behind Btrfs, and it's going to eat all of my data. It's copy and write. It's going to take up my whole hard drive. Details. Okay. None of you guys are actually using, but actually, does Cashy use Btrfs, Don? I don't even know.
Yes. Well, not by default, but I changed it to Btrfs.
Okay, so you may be actually the only Btrfs user on. Actually, Drew, are you using Btrfs on Debian right now?
not right now. No, I'm not.
Okay. So he has all these videos telling us how to use Btrfs, but those are
It's for the other guys. No, that's just for the other people. The people that don't keep it like a clean system. That's just for.
Well, I've watched those videos. I can imagine it's not like, I just want to install my system. I don't want to have to go type all this stuff in. I can get that.
Fair. That's fair.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think, Nate, did you
I
ask?
got questions.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Drew.
Yeah. So Don, if where are you in life? Are you in your 20s? Do you have a tech job? Because I have like follow-up questions to that, because you've only been on Linux for a couple years. I'm gonna say only, because that's really kind of like condescending. I apologize for that. So since you've been on Windows for 2 years, you're automatically kind of like in the Wayland generation of people. So when you left Cinnamon, which is Xorg, where did you go? And so there's a lot of questions there.
Yeah, you asked like 6, but
Yeah.
let me start with I believe was the first one. Where am I at in life? I'm in my 30s. That's where I'm at age wise, and I'm in the tech industry, specifically app development. I do some project management and more client facing side of things for my job, and then yeah, obviously, YouTube is something I'm trying to make into more of the forefront of that. But yeah, as far as like when being on Linux for 2 years, I bounced around a lot, and I think I landed on BSPWM for the longest time. So I was on that for a while before I switched to I believe Hyperland was probably like the first truly
Arch,
Wayland.
you on Arch with BSPWM? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Yep. I was on Arch with BSPWM, and occasionally I have the urge to go back to it. Like I really loved
Nothing wrong with
BSPWM,
that.
but and I even did a video on that maybe month or maybe like 2 months ago where I had switched to it briefly, and I was like, what was wrong with X11? Because a lot of things were just working great uh, when I was using it. So
I guess that is a question I do have. Is there a specific reason why you couldn't stay on BSPWM, or you just have preferences on Wayland that you couldn't get there?
really, it was newer features coming out with like quick shell and all the different options for Neri, and I just they were just calling me back.
I get it.
Just the new stuff. I gotta have the new.
Does it also have to do with, you say you're a gamer, so does it have to do with like refresh rates and stuff?
Honestly, I didn't see a huge difference. To be completely honest with you, I did not see a huge difference between refresh rates or even just performance in general.
Yeah, so you don't have enough mixed monitors. That's what I'm hearing.
I mean, I have 4 monitors, one ultra wide and 232, and then one 27-inch. So they are all quite different, but it still worked.
Don't take offense. Nate's just a monitor snob, you know. just
No, I get it. I mean, honestly, if I could have more monitors, I would. I think you can't have enough. The more the merrier when it comes to monitors.
So my
Oh,
one,
I have a projector, by the way. So
my cred on having one monitor just like I don't even belong on this podcast. I'm saying.
How do you do that?
you have
I
to
don't even-
no that's unfair because Drew, you have to represent the normal people. Because normal people don't have more than one monitor. It's only
Wait, so what desktop environment are you on, or what do you?
I'm on DWM right now. I'm looking at DWM.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a XOR guy. All right, so I guess you mentioned the quick shells and stuff like that. What do you see as the benefits be of having one of those crazy quick shells like Natalia or regular quick shell or dank shell, dank material, is that what it's called?
Yeah, material, yeah.
Versus just having a regular bar like a normal person. Because I've tried those and they're all like fancy smancy, and I'm like, Waybar's fine for me.
Yeah. No, I mean the simplicity of Waybar is nice. I will say that, but I will say for quick shells, it's really just it's almost like you get a full desktop within just the bar itself. Especially with the way Dank Material and like Noctalia are going. I did an installation of Noctalia the other day, and it was like by time you're up and running, you can get up and running in like an hour and have pretty much everything that you need within the bar settings itself. And even Dank, you can do your monitor settings and everything on Hyperland and Neri and stuff. So it takes a lot of the extra packages that you need to, install and get going.
Do you enjoy doing the configuration? I mean, because I know you can do the configuration for those things through a configuration file, but a lot of that stuff you can also do through like their built-in GUIs and stuff. How do you prefer to configure those things?
A little bit of both, but I'll go in the GUI just to do some quick edit or something like that. But even then, like I was trying to shrink my bar the other day, and the GUI only allowed you to go so many pixels in. So I did have to, edit the configuration to get it to where I wanted it to go. So it really just depends on what I'm doing and how intricate I'm trying to change it.
I think that my opposition towards them isn't that they're not cool, because they are cool, but more that I'm so fundamentally opposed to doing anything with a GUI that the fact that it has a GUI pisses me off. I don't know why it does. It's just there's something in my brain that says this thing is not meant for me. Like it's too much for a new user, and like that is elitist. It's all those things. I get that, but that's just more of a my feeling kind of thing. And it's just that I've used them. I have the Noctalia Flake here on NixOS installed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine, but I almost immediately went back to Waybar because it's just, and I have so many problems with Waybar too. Like I don't care for the partial CSS that it uses, but maybe it's just because I'm getting older and I'm just comfy in what I know. So
I don't know. I do feel like sometimes I'm just lazy though. Like sometimes I don't want to have to open up an editor and all that just to make a quick change. I just rather just make a couple clicks and be done.
Yeah. Maybe I'd be more like, because I am the lazy person. Like you guys don't know lazy until you've met me. So it seems like I'd like them more, but there's something that I just can't get past. I do like now that they are, because for a long time, Waybar was like the thing. Like it was the only one there was available to you. Like if you wanted anything else, it was either abandoned or just didn't exist. So I like that there's finally some innovation there on the bar side, because for the longest time, at least when it came to Wayland compositors, it was just Waybar or nothing. So it's nice that there's some development work there. Yeah. All those are based on Quick Shell, right? Have you used just regular Quick Shell, or are you just done shells, the pre-made ones?
Pretty much just the pre-made ones, honestly. I think I have tried just the regular Quick Shell in the past, but I typically just go for the actual shells that are kind of pre-configured and good to go.
Drew, when you use Wayland, you use Waybar, or do you use Swaybar?
Waybar.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think, I first of all, I don't know what I'm I don't know that I need a whole lot when it comes to the bar. I need very little. In fact, I need to be able to switch between workspaces. I need to be able to see some type of like readout, and I need a tray, and the time is nice. So beyond that, what do you actually need? I don't need applications or anything like that running over there, or like any type of like click to launch. So no, I don't know what you guys are doing. Are you running stock tickers, or
it's kind of I think it's just the cohesiveness of having everything into one thing, because like it doesn't just come with the bar. Like it comes with the app launcher, it comes with the dock. Like it has other features that you would otherwise have to go elsewhere to install to configure it. So it kind of just comes with everything already embedded in it.
So it's kind of turning your window manager into a desktop environment kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's the closest thing that you can get to a desktop environment on a window manager.
Because I think that it's, can't remember if it's Noctalia or one of the other ones that actually comes with a bar, and then also has the dock at the bottom, kind of like Mac OS.
Yes, both of them have the dock option now. Yeah.
And that was just like, no thanks for me. Like if I wanted to use a desktop environment, I'd go do that. I'm really set in my ways. Nate, I always forget which, because you're a DE guy, but you occasionally dabble in the window manager space. Do you ever dabble into any of the Wayland stuff?
Not really. The last one I used was Hyperland, and then I didn't like it because it broke. It was during that time it was breaking every 2 hours. So my favorite is Awesome. It's Awesome WM, but it's also Lua. So
yeah. All right. So we still have some questions, and we'll get to some more of those a little bit. But let's go ahead and jump into the mini main topic, just because it kind of fits in here. We'll start with you, Don, but are there any Xorg based window managers that you'd like to see jump to Wayland, and why?
I guess my go-to would be BSPWN.
That's not a wrong. There's no wrong answer right there. That's for sure.
That's one of my favorites for sure. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, that like DWM is kind of already happening. And then there's like alternatives like Mango and stuff like that that kind of have a similar aspect to it. So I don't know. I really just BSPWM. That was my go-to when I was, on Xorg. So
Yeah.
I can't really, speak on many of the other ones.
Drew, what about you? What would you like to see actually make the jump officially
Well, I think
to
there's
Wayland?
possibilities. If like, in a perfect world, can BSPWM or DWM actually make the jump from Xorg to Wayland? Likely not. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they're maintained by either one or a small group of people. I think we've seen Qtile make inroads into making that jump. Um, I know, Matt, you're the only one here that can actually speak to that. But I think in terms of like possibilities, the one that Nate's already mentioned, awesome, WM is the most likely because of its scripting language, because of its rather large community. Going from awesome WM as a strictly Xorg window manager or X11 window manager to Wayland is the most likely candidate. And would that be a bad thing? No, I don't think so, because awesome, its roots are a fork of DWM. It is DWM in a way that's already kind of like pre-patched. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that is probably the best answer. That would be the one that has the closest possibility.
Okay, just on the awesome WM thing, if you go, I'll put a link to this in the chat here in a second. But the thread that was started to request Wayland being ported to awesome devolved into name calling and Linux drama. So just go read it. It's entertaining enough. But from what it looks like, they'd had to do a complete rewrite in order to do it. And from just the brief glimpse through that I've taken, they don't appear at all interested in doing so. Which I get it, because you mentioned Qtile, Drew. And maybe I'll try to get one of the Qtile devs on that. It could be fun to do. But I think if you asked them how that process has gone for them, they would describe it as a pain in the ass. They started out with just regular WL roots. Everybody agrees WL roots is garbage. I mean, Vaxry completely rewrote it and made his own, which he apparently did in like under like just a few months, like some kind of wizard or something. But Qtile has decided they need to redo all the back end, and that has been taking them forever. It works kind of. It's better than it used to be, but it's just not there. And
so you remember asking the question of something that I would want to change in Linux? It's that. The inconsistencies of WL roots and knowing how, like, it's like, okay, can I use this one? No, you can't. You have to use that very specific one in order for it to work. Version 0.19 doesn't work for just everything. 0.19.1 doesn't work for everything. It's crazy how these window, this is what's going to hold back window manager or compositor development, is this kind of like issue.
Well, I think it's because as Linux developers, they are very disinterested in a standard. Like nobody can sit down and just agree that this is the way that it's supposed to be. Like System D or whatever. Like because that was created by a company, and they were all, they probably had meetings, like actually like in-person meetings, whereas with like WL Roots, it was created by the community, and at least I think it was, and that means that everybody has their own ideas, and nobody could agree on anything. So it's just duct tape and baling wire put together BS that nobody actually wants to use. And then you have, GNOME doing their own things, and KDE doing their own things and creating their own stuff, and then Hyperland creating their own thing, Qtile now creating their own thing. Nothing goes together or works together.
I feel like with Linux, it becomes too stable. We got to start over. Like we got to rewrite the entire thing, because now we're almost mainstream.
And they'll use the same excuse. It's getting too hard to maintain, right? Like that's what they did with Xorg. Like it's getting too hard to maintain. I'm sure it was too hard to maintain. Like I'm sure that's true, but it feels like instead of putting in the work to actually making it good, they just said, screw it, we're starting over. And that has caused enormous problems. That thread that I shared in the chat, that was posted in 2015, which
Yeah, it's 10 years old.
yeah, like they've been asking for like 10 or 11 years to port Awesome, right? They've been having this discussion for that long. And I mean, it's possible that there are other threads or whatever where they've actually made plans to do whatever they're going to do with Wayland, or maybe they've just completely canned the idea completely. I don't know. But the fact that they've been talking about it for that long just shows that this is not something that is an easy thing, even for a team that's probably, I don't know how large the Awesome Window Manager dev team, but it's probably larger than some other window managers, I'd assume, because it's more popular. So I don't know. It's an issue. Nate, is Awesome Window Manager your answer to that question? The Xorg thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's all. That's the only one I really care about.
If only it weren't Lua, man. Just saying.
And listen, I understand, but at the same time, since now I've gotten so comfortable using it, it doesn't matter. It's about like with me using Lua, it's about like you using Emacs. You never thought you would say that, but yeah,
True.
it's easy now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I took that hit. I like Lisp now. Who knew? All right. That's okay. I am an Emacs guy. That just makes me sad. All right. So let's go ahead and hop back into some questions here. If you weren't using this Arch, Don, what distro would you be using?
That's tough. It would be between Fedora and NixOS. And I only say that I know they're two completely different directions there, but Fedora is kind of like the middle ground when it comes to like the bleeding edge and stability. And you can still get a lot of the same packages and stuff with Corp and whatnot to be able to use window managers and stuff like that more easily. I mean, you can do that on pretty any distro, but it's just more easily accessible to be able to do it on like Fedora aside from Arch. And then NixOS, because I just enjoyed a lot of their philosophy, just like a lot of what the features and stuff that to build your system on NixOS is what I really enjoyed. So if I was not on Arch, I'd probably either go back to that and just suffer through the pain points that I I had when I was on there, or go to something like a Fedora distro.
Can I ask what the pain points of NixOS were? I'm just curious because I've been using NixOS now for a couple hundred days, so I'm curious what your general worst parts were of NixOS.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone in my Discord about this earlier, and it's that I feel like I was fixing more issues than I was just using the system. And a lot of times it was related to certain packages. Might need to get the unstable version of that package to be able to get the features and stuff working that I wanted, or I have to try a different flake for it, or there's just so many different ways to get a different result. And I felt like I was just, I mean, I love to tinker, but I feel like the main things that I just needed to work weren't always working. And I know like you get the good feeling when you get the successful rebuild and everything's good and working good for forever how long it ends up working. But yeah, I always just felt like I was just doing more work than I needed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I think my biggest problem with NixOS is that I don't have your experience. Like I've been using it now for so long, or 200 days, not so long, but I mean for long enough, I suppose. But I don't feel like I change enough. So like that's the reason why I've been messing around with trying to add some more stuff to my config to see if I can't get that experience of things breaking. Because I've had the exact opposite experience where yeah, I've put a lot of work into my configuration file, and that's been kind of like a labor of love. But I could very easily just stop and it would work for a long time. Like I don't feel. I've tried very hard to break it. I can't seem to do it. Like I've added a whole bunch of different flakes. I've switched back and forth between KDE and GNOME and XFCE and all this stuff loads of times. And just to see if because a lot of times when on Linux distros, like switching back and forth between a desktop environment will see you break things. I haven't had any poor experiences there. So I've been trying to break it. I can't seem to do it. And maybe I like to joke maybe it's just because I'm good at Linux now, but I don't know. I don't know what more I can do.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess it is a lot to do with that. I'm always trying something new. Like I'm always getting the newer. If there's a new quick shell out there, I'm going to try it. And a lot of times it's because it's so new that it is just not built, you know, correctly for NixOS yet, or they haven't packaged it yet, and so you have to do some type of alternative way to download it. So yeah, so I guess because I do change things so often, I ran into more issues than I needed to. I think the big one was my video editor, though. I know not many people use it, but I use Lightworks as my video editor, and I could not get it to work on NixOS. It would install that they actually have Nix package for Lightworks, but everything on it would not show up correctly, and you would get these random like glyphs where the icons are supposed to be, and or I just get a black screen. But I had so many different outcomes when it came to that. So I always just had issues. And obviously with being content creator, I have to be able to edit my videos.
Yeah, Nate's the only one that can get DaVinci Resolve to work on Linux. And you can see by the smug look on his asshole face.
Yeah.
That's true. I ended up buying a Mac so I could do video editing with my preferred program, because I just like with Lightworks, NixOS has a DaVinci Resolve package, and when I saw that, I was thrilled, because that's so cool. The hardest part usually about DaVinci Resolve on Linux is getting it installed. On other distros, right, you have to do all these weird things. On NixOS, you just install it in your configuration file, and bam, it's there. But it still doesn't work. It still doesn't work. So
I did try it. I did try DaVinci Resolve as well.
I can go on a rant. I have gone on many rants about it, so we don't need to do that today. I'm going to actually ask that question to the fellows as well, even though we've probably asked it before. Drew, if you couldn't use Debian or Debian-based distro, we have to qualify that. What distro would you use?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Fedora, probably. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Fedora. I think it's, I don't know how stable anything is outside of Debian, but I would imagine that Fedora kind of falls into that, like, fairly stable category where the packages are current. So yeah, I would probably go with Fedora. It would be a real departure for me, though, and I'm not sure I want to even answer that question. So
it's like you can see the horror on his face every time someone mentions Debian going away.
I mean, I'm looking at the chat every time they're like, "Is this the week that Drew goes to Wayland?" And I'm like, "You, man."
that day's just don't.
No, I mean, I have done Sway, and I have done Sway effects very recently. And one of those reasons is because of how stable those things are. I'm not going to be that, I'm not going to venture into the unknown and like tinker when I have work to do. So these things they installed on a test machine, and yes, I'm trying them mostly because other people ask. And that's the truth. If no one asks, I probably wouldn't even try. So
you have tried Hyperland in the past. I mean,
yeah. In fact, it was hard. I mean, like, I actually had an install, and it was on my GitHub. And when I moved to Codeberg, I left it there. And it was one of those things where it had to be. I was using Debian testing, which is now Trixie and in the stable branch, but I was also pinning Hyperland to a very stable state, and we're talking about like 15 versions ago at this point, because they have, they've really stepped up the number of versions. I think it was like, I don't know, D-Dubs is in the chat. I think it was like version 0.35 or something like that, and he might remember. But yeah, so I've done that, and it was on the testing branch at some point. And if I was to do it, and in fact, D-Dubs has done a Hyperland build on Debian stable for some unknown reason. It works for him. So
D-Dubs is a wizard. You can't take
he
his
tends to get
experience.
things working that others don't.
Yeah. He's a legend. Nate, what about you? If you couldn't use Pop! OS, what distro would you then go to?
If this was 2 years ago, I would say Arco. RIP. But either base Arch or probably Cache packages. I mean, you know me, I need packages and codecs, so
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to do on Arch.
All right. So my answer is easy. OpenSUSE is where I'd go.
Yeah, that was pretty easy.
Yeah, I could very happily live on Tumbleweed for the rest of my life. It's a
Is that your favorite overall?
Yeah, I think I'd answer that. That's my favorite distro of all time is OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. It's stable. I know Drew's just gonna make a face when I say this, but it's as stable as Debian, but with the package management of Arch.
Interesting.
And the best part about it ever is it uses Btrfs out of the box with Snapper pre-installed and configured the way it's supposed to be. And that's just my favorite thing ever. Like, it's one of the reasons why I'm finding NixOS more and more awesome, because you can do things, mess around with things, and then go back.
Yeah.
You can break something, and it's not going to break your system. It's just, it'll spit off some errors. Whereas OpenSUSE, yeah, you can break things. It's not like Nix where it kind of just stays stable and live. But being able to go back with a snapshot when you just fool around for no reason is just amazing. And I've never discovered another non-immutable distro that does that well. And the mutable distros I have other problems with. So yeah, OpenSUSE would be my forever home. I will say, and I don't want to give the NixOS guys, hope or whatever, I really do like NixOS. I've done some really cool things lately with some scripting and some of my config stuff, like setting up Borgmatic in a Nix config file was magic. It's so good because you can do everything right there. You can set up the cron job so it runs at a certain time every day. You can set up the exclusions right there in the same file, and it just works. It's so good because the regular way of setting up Borgmatic, you have to get into the one config file and then get into another config file and then set up cron, make sure cron's actually running, and when cron inevitably doesn't run because you didn't create an executable of some kind or whatever, you're just sitting there with no backups whatsoever. It worked. It was so good, and it was the first thing on Nix in over 200 days where I say, you know what, that's better than any other distro that ever does it. And it's like that's the first thing, and since then I've discovered a few more things, and it's like NixOS is slowly,
it's growing on you.
It's growing on me. I think the more I learn, the more I'm happy with it. I'd still probably choose OpenSUSE over it though. So that's.
Have you mentioned what you're daily driving? Are you on Neri or what's your daily?
Oh yes. You're talking to me.
Yeah. Sorry. You're the only one that's getting questions. So.
Right. Yes, I'm on Neri. Neri is Window Manager I'm using right now.
What are your thoughts on Neri?
I love Neri. I feel like it's because I've used them all. When it comes to the Wayland side of things, I've definitely tried pretty much all of them, and I feel like Neri just feels I don't even know how to explain it. It just works for my workflow. It just works for me. And with Hyperland, I mean, it's a great guy. He does great work, but when he changes the syntax every 2 weeks, it's pretty much it just can get annoying to have to update your configuration and keep up with what's going on. And he's probably doing it for good reasons. I'm not knocking him for what he's doing, but it's just one of those things where Neri has just been working. It's been good.
So I think I may be the only other guy here that's tried Neri. So, but I have hopes and dreams for Neri. Like I think it'd be awesome on a single monitor setup. I think it'd be very, very cool. Like on a laptop, it may be the best thing since sliced bread. On a multi-monitor setup, it feels out of place because of the way the scrolling works, but also it's just not there yet. So like their decision with the X Wayland satellite stuff is just mind-boggling to me. And I know they've fixed it somewhat, and it is better than it was a few months ago. Now that they've built X Wayland satellite functionality in, and you don't have to do all this extra stuff in the config file to get to work. And this last time I tried it, finally Vivaldi would launch right out of the box, whereas before it didn't. But this time I had problems with Emacs. Like it wouldn't launch Emacs. It took me probably 45 minutes to an hour to get Emacs to actually launch. And then when it did finally launch, it only would launch as part of the screen. Not like part of the screen, horizontally, but vertically. It was like
Weird.
floating. And I couldn't get it fixed, and like it wouldn't work. So every time I go in there, there's just these little. It's very much for me how Hyperland was back, 2 years ago. Where you could use it, but you're always going to experience some pain points somewhere along the way because it's in constant development. It's obviously not ready yet, and that's just the way that I feel about Neri. I will say that for the one that I'm looking forward to the most actually becoming more mature, if it ever gets there, is Mango WC, because the ability to have multiple monitors set to different layouts, basically, you can have scrolling here, tiling there, tiling there, tiling there. That sounds awesome, because that's the way that I want it. I want scrolling just in one place. Everywhere else needs to be just a regular tiling experience. That sounds cool. Could not get it to work on NixOS. Could not.
What, Neri or Mango?
Mango, yeah. Neri seems to work fine. It's like fairly stable. It just has problems with apps. That's my experience so far.
How long have you been on Neri?
Months now, but I did go back to Hyperland for a few months when I was on. That's when I was on NixOS, though. Is when I went back to Hyperland because I was having issues with Neri on NixOS.
Okay, so I have a few more questions, and this may spawn some others. First off, your favorite color scheme. Like, do you have like a dedicated custom color scheme, or do you use like a pre-made one? What are your thoughts there?
Capuchin.
Okay, it's just a shame that it's not Grovebox, but we can still be friends.
Yes, and specifically the mauve, purple color scheme is. If you look at every video and like wallpaper that I have, it's the same thing. I don't think I've ever steered away from it. And it's not just because of my logo. Those are honestly just because those are my favorite colors.
Okay. I change color schemes constantly, so I can't ever claim to be like. I am going to ask the fellas this. Drew, do you have a favorite color scheme?
I've been using the same one. I guess it's custom. I call it GitHub Dark, and I guess it's kind of like a group of colors that I kind of like hodgepodge together. And actually, it's like I submitted it as a Genie color scheme as well. So I kind of use that across the board.
Okay. What about you, Nate?
The one I've been using the most is probably Andromeda. I really like the color schemes with that. And it works really well with blur effects and I guess fades. So
I have 40 different color schemes on my Qtile setup, and each one of those has 5 different layouts attached to it. So I switch constantly, but Grovebox is my favorite. I've talked about this before, but for me, changing up a color scheme is kind of like just making things fresh, and it keeps my brain in the moment. Because like if I just stare at the same thing constantly all the time, because I work in front of the computer, I lose focus easily. So changing kind of spruces things up and keeps my attention a little bit better. I also love racing. Like it's my favorite thing to do. So being able to create a new layout or discover a new color scheme, it's catnip for me. All right, so we're going to move on to, so we kind of talked about Hyperland a little bit. We've talked about what distro you'd use if you weren't on Arch. Nate, do you have any more of your questions that you wanted to ask?
I just have one more. I'll just use one more.
Okay.
Maybe a hard question, may not be. If Linux wasn't an option, where would you go?
Dang. You had to throw that one. Linux wasn't an option. I guess I'd have to use Windows. I'm a gamer, so I couldn't not game, and the alternatives are not there.
So, but you usually use a controller, right?
Yes, but I mean, as far as like the titles and stuff working on the operating system.
Yeah, Mag is just not there for gaming.
No.
Sucks. I will ask that question for you guys as well. What about you, Drew? Where would you go if Linux wasn't a thing? I'm sure we've asked these questions before, but it's a new update.
Does like OpenBSD counts? Is
Yeah.
that like okay, then yes, that's where I would go, somewhere like OpenBSD.
Nate?
I would probably. So I'm also a gamer, but I would probably go a weird route. I really enjoy my Nintendo Switch, so I'd probably just use the Switch and keep my Mac because the video editing on it's pretty good.
So I don't have a good answer to this question because I think that if Linux wasn't a thing, I would use a computer a lot less. I know that it makes Linux sound like a hobby, but I enjoy using
No,
Linux
I'm with you there.
so much.
Yeah, I'd probably just use it for gaming, and then I wouldn't be on it nearly as much.
Maybe it'd be a good, more healthy thing for us if Linux didn't exist. I don't know, but I like this stuff. I like tinkering. I like making it mine. I like all the things that go along with it. It makes me the Linux nerd that I am. If I had to go use Windows, I would not use it very often. Like, it just wouldn't. And I have a Mac. The only time I ever use it is for video editing. I despise that thing. I would sell it in a heartbeat if I could get DaVinci Resolve to actually work on Linux for longer than 5.5 seconds. But I can't, so I have to have it. But every time I switch into it, I dread it. It's one of the reasons why I really don't want to. I was talking earlier about how I'm getting rid of this one monitor and making it its own dedicated Mac setup. It feels like a waste because it's going to sit there. I'm going to use it for maybe 3 hours a week, maybe, and other times it's just going to sit there doing nothing. And because I don't like Mac OS. It's just not a good experience. The only good thing about Mac OS is they do a fantastic dark mode, and they've ruined most of that with liquid glass. So
No, that's not the only thing. Honestly, and I'm saying this as someone that does a lot of audio production, you cannot beat a Mac when it comes to audio.
Yeah.
Period. I have tried it with Windows. I have tried it with Linux. It's not even close.
yeah, I have an experience with that kind of stuff because to me, you guys sound fantastic without any editing. So it's great. All right, let's see. That was your last question, right, Nate? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I'm gonna do.
So I have two more, both related to YouTube. So first, why did you choose to start your YouTube channel? We'll start there.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been wanting to do YouTube for a long time, and I wish I started a lot younger. It was more just a thought and more like a fantasy type thing to get into. And once I kind of got in my 30s, I was like, man, let me just try it again. And when I tried it the first time, I was actually doing sim racing. Completely different avenue there. Still gaming, but that didn't really take off. And then COVID was a thing, which normally would speed things up as far as like content creation and stuff like that goes. But I had to change a lot with my life at that time, and it just didn't work out for me. And then when I got back into it, I had just switched to Linux, like personally. And actually, in the beginning stages of my channel, it was mainly just gaming stuff. It wasn't even Linux related stuff, and I would do some like reviews on a couple different products and stuff like that. And then once I started tinkering with Linux more, that's where it really kind of took off for me.
Okay, and kind of related to that, where do you think your YouTube channel will be in 5 years?
Where do I think it'll be in 5 years? I don't know. I plan to be doing it full time within a year is my goal. So that's one thing. But as far as 5 years from now, I mean, I don't have like a set goal as far as like how many subscribers I want or like anything like that. I just want to be able to sustain and have a living off of it and be able to provide for my family while doing what I enjoy. It doesn't have to reach a certain amount of I don't need that not $1 million, but million subscriber plaque. It's not, those aren't the goals. It's just I love doing this, so I'd rather do this than my day job and enjoy every second of it and still be able to make a living while doing it.
Do you have a guy or group of people that you go, yeah, that's cool, that I like that channel right there, I want to like kind of aspire to that, or even ones that you like say, oh man, I like that guy, what that guy's doing. He may not be the biggest YouTuber, or you might want to be like the next like Chris Titus or something. So
Yeah. I mean, honestly, my YouTube like fixation was MKBHD. that's where it kind of started with the tech stuff. I was super big into like, putting ROMs on my phone. So I was always getting the new, phone. And I also worked in the phone industry at the time when I was younger. So I was super big into that, and I loved his, tech channel. And so he's kind of what the inspiration was to really get into YouTube. But as far as like now, I don't really like. I mean, I'm always on YouTube. I'm always watching different people, and I may take some little bits from those people, but I don't think there's like a set people or anything that I inspire from. I kind of just try to take my own road.
Fellas, any other questions you have to ask? No? All right, we're going to go ahead then and move on to the Nuggies of the week. I really do need the soundboard. One day I'll create one. All right, so basically, for those of you guys who don't know, and maybe you, Don, don't know, we do a section at the end of the show that we call Nuggies. We've named them Nuggies because my friends hate me and have forced it on me because I hate that word. Basically, it's our app picks. You can do a tech trick or anything that you'd like, basically anything that you've discovered that you'd like to share. And just to show you how it's done, Nate, your Nuggie of the week.
So I was on FlatHub, as you do, because I was looking for a program that I had ripped a bunch of CDs, and I came across a Gab tag. And basically what it is just a Linux audio tagging tool that's written in GTK4 and Adwata, and basically gives you a desktop interface to be able to change like multiple audio files at once and get their tags. And then also you can, if you want to, use Music Brains to get those tags. So it's a pretty nice little lightweight application.
Cool. I used Beats and was not impressed. It's just, I think my problem with it is like I got 4 terabytes worth of music now, and it was just, I don't think it was meant for a library that big. Drew, your Nuggie of the week.
So I'm not going to. A Nuggie is maybe a little bit generous, but let me just say that let me share something with you guys. I had 2 repos, one for the Zen browser and one for Helium browser. So because they didn't have deb packages. And so whenever there was an update, I would like go and update that particular thing. And so NeoVim came out with a new version, and I thought maybe I should just have like another one for NeoVim for anyone, because if you are a Debian user, you know that the version for NeoVim is tragically old. And so I decided that instead of like having 3 separate repos, I decided to just have one repo for everything now. So between the newest version of NeoVim, stable version, and then Helium and Zen browser, I added a 4th package, and that is a Genie. The latest version of Genie is also now part of it, and it's called Butter Repo, and that is my Nuggie of the week. It is the Butter Repo at my Codeberg page.
Anybody want to just point out to him if he used Arch, he wouldn't have to have all these special repos? Look, she's getting angry, man.
There's something to say about this that I will refrain from.
Okay. It's all right. It was written all over your face.
I will take the high road here, man.
I was going to make another joke, but I probably shouldn't. Don, you
definitely shouldn't.
Don, your Nuggie of the week.
Yeah, I guess I go with what D-Dubs had said in the chat. My DCLI tool that I created to kind of mimic a lot of the things on NixOS on your Arch-based installation, because I really loved NixOS and just kind of how everything worked on it. And I wanted that same workflow on my Arch, based distro. So I created the DCLI tool, which kind of, not all, but gives me a lot of the same feelings and resources and tools that has.
Cool. We probably should have asked you about that a little bit more earlier. I had seen something about that. What did you write it in?
So it's had some some changes. Originally, it was just this long ass bash script. Originally, and then I rewrote it in Rust, and then the actual files that it uses is either YAML, and Nate, this is for you, or Lua.
Well, I can't use it then because it's in Lua. I'm just. Sorry, man. Can you find that on GitHub, or you on Codeberg or something?
GitLab.
GitLab.
Yeah, GitLab.com/TheBlackDon/DCLI.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Well, I'll make sure I link that in the video description as well. All right. Cool. So my Nuggie of the week is one I actually just found today. So I was trolling through YouTube as you do, and I found one of these videos. Someone said, liberate your Audible library from Audible. Like, that sounds like a good idea, because I no longer actually subscribe to Audible, but I have a whole bunch of books there. So I found this guy mentioned an app called Libation, Libation, and basically you just download this thing, you input your email and password and set up your file path and stuff like that, and it will pull all of your audiobooks from Audible and download them onto your computer. You can either have it in M4B or MP3, and you can combine two of them, whatever you want. And it just downloads them without DRM, so you can play them wherever you want. So if that gets me demonetized, fuck you, YouTube. I don't give a shit, because that's awesome. I have probably 60 some audiobooks in Audible. It got all of them except for 8 of them downloaded. I don't know why the 8 failed, but it got all of them. I now have them in MP3. I can put them on like audiobook shelf in a Docker container if I wanted to. So that's cool. So that's mine, is Libation. So if you have an Audible account, highly recommend that, because they can just yoink that stuff away from you if they want to. So that's mine.
I do have a question. Have you tried it with Jellyfin yet?
The audiobooks?
Yeah.
No, I just downloaded them today.
Okay.
Have you?
Let me know how that works, because I'm in the same boat that you are.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The only thing I use Jellyfin for is movies and TV shows, because the music stuff in Jellyfin it does not appreciate a large library. But I will definitely try it with audiobooks, because I know that you can do that with a library there. Audiobook shelf looks really dated, is my problem with it. Like, I've looked at this thing and it's just not. I don't know. Maybe I'll just create something of my own. That's always a possibility. Anyway, so that is it for the Linux cast. It was awesome. So Don, you are TheBlackDon on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@TheBlackDon. He posts stuff on quick shells and Neary and Hyperland and all sorts of stuff. So if you guys haven't yet, I put a link in the chat, and there's a link in the video description. Head on over there, give him a subscribe. You won't be sorry that you did. And he releases more videos than all of us at the moment, I'm pretty sure. You released another one today, I saw. Right?
Yes,
right
I did.
Yeah.
I try to do like 3 to 5 a week.
That's just insane. I'm sorry, man. I used to do that. I used to be all gung-ho, and now I'm gung-lazy.
Well, if I'm gonna make my 1 year mark, I gotta have to.
I have a whole bunch of videos to edit, but then unfortunately Nate will only edit the podcast for me. I'm just lazy. I need to get away from Mac is my problem, because it just is dragging me down.
First step.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so make sure you guys head on over there to Don's channel and check him out and subscribe to his stuff and check out his DCLI tool. All right. Drew is just a guy Linux on YouTube. He posts stuff on Debian and scripting and home lab stuff and all sorts of stuff that, if you're interested in that kind of, like Debian installs from way back, those things are still, every once in a while, one of his old like Debian installs will pop up into my feed, and I will be, I'll just watch it. Like, I've watched it twice already, but I'll still watch it. There's just something about a Debian install that just gets me. All right. Anyways, Just a Guy Linux on YouTube. Go subscribe to him. Nate, he also posted a video today. What was this one about, Nate?
You just have to watch it.
Wow,
Wow.
that sounds mysterious.
Right.
All right. He's Nate Picks Tech World on YouTube, so go make sure you subscribe to him as well. He has a video out, and obviously I am the Linux Cast. You can subscribe to me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit the like button and all that stuff. You can find us in terms of contact information. Email at thelinuxcast.org is the email address. If you need to get in contact with any of us, just email that and I will make sure it gets to where it goes. You can find all of our contact information on the new and improved Linux Cast website, thelinuxcast.org. There you'll find previous episodes all the way back to season 1 and blog posts that I post occasionally just for shits and giggles, as they say. So make sure you check on that, the youtube.com. I always mix it up. The linuxcast.org/contact is all the contact information, Discord and Mastodon and stuff for all of the guys here, along with myself. So check that out. We record this live every Tuesday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time. We're never late. So if you ever see us late, you know something's obviously wrong, end of the world or whatever. We're always on time. You can catch us live on the Linux Cast YouTube channel, or you can get the edited version, which is available on YouTube and all the podcatchers. It's edited by Mr. Nate. Thank you, Nate. Thank you. I hate editing the podcast so much so that I just didn't do it. I just posted it basically raw. Hey, I lined the claps up. That's about as far as I got. 2 weeks in a row. That's the reason why Nate can't take vacations anywhere. So you can check out the audio version of the edit of the podcast on any podcatcher that you choose, including Apple Podcasts. And if you do use Apple Podcasts and you'd leave us a review, we'd really appreciate it. So make sure you go over there and tell Apple how awesome we are, because we have aspirations to be the best Linux podcast ever, and we want to see the rankings to show that off. So that's it for this one. Thank you, Don, so much for joining us. We really appreciate having you on. We'll see you guys next week.